Hey everyone, today I want to talk about the joy and pain of being a sports parent. And this is going to be completely unscripted, it's going to be all in one take. I have a slight idea of where I want to get to and I have no clue how long I'll be talking for. Probably about 15 minutes, that's my guess. That's my guesstimate. But I hope and I pray that something I say in here, or a lot of things I say in here, will resonate with you. Whether you are a competitive or recreational athlete yourself, whether you had a parent or two that pushed you to be so, or whether you're a parent right now and you have a kid or kids involved in competitive or recreational athletics. And I've had a lot of time to think about this over the past 48 hours since Jacob and Caleb wrapped up weekend number 1 of 2 consecutive provincial bowling tournaments. You might ask, well, why there are 2 provincial tourneys? Basically, there are 2 main bowling associations in Canada, so they have their respective provincial tournaments on back-to-back weekends. They did well. They didn't win, spoiler alert. I'll talk about that in a second. But they did well. But I had some really good moments of reflection, of self-discovery. Had 4 hours on the drive home to think about it. I want to share some thoughts with you now, right here on this vlog. So we'll kind of see what happens. Feel weird actually not talking about the Canucks for once, but it might be a nice change for me. So let's go. Number 1, sports are good. We know that. We all love sports. Heck, I vlog about the Canucks twice a day and I give them all my money. But again, it's not about the Canucks. That's the last time I mentioned the Canucks today. Sports are good. They help keep us healthy physically and keep us active. I think that's the most obvious thing. They help keep us not only strong physically, but mentally and emotionally. They teach us values and skills such as teamwork and leadership and discipline and commitment and hard work and perseverance. Sportsmanship, not getting too high with the highs, not getting too low with the lows. So I think it's obvious and it's plain to see why sports are so good and why people love to both play sports and to watch sports. When it comes to motivation, and now we're going to move into the parenting thing, when it comes to motivation of putting our kids into sports, I hope that the motivation isn't so we can live vicariously through our kids and so they can hopefully get further than we ever did. I think that is motivation for maybe a small handful of parents, especially those that want their kids to be the next Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid or Tom Brady or whatever you want to pick, LeBron James. But I think that percentage is very small. I think the majority of parents, the motivation for putting their kids into sports is for all those benefits I just talked about, especially active and health and teamwork and friendship and all those things. But it's also supposed to be fun. You want to see your kids succeed. You want to see your kids make friends and to learn those values and to be active and to really do as well as they can. I think that's all we can ask for as parents. So that should be the primary motivation, is that your kids have fun, that they like it, they enjoy it, and they get better at something and maybe develop skills that they wouldn't have otherwise. And we know that as sporting parents, it takes a lot of sacrifice when it comes to money. So, depending on what sport your kids are in, it could be hundreds, it could be thousands of dollars. So you're sacrificing money that you would spend on other things or maybe trips or leisure or entertainment, and instead sinking it into athletics. There's also fundraising. That has to do with money as well, and a lot of teams and a lot of sports require a lot of fundraising to be done. There's also sacrifice of time, whether it's getting up at 5 o'clock to get some ice time, or whether it's driving 4 hours in the snow to Kelowna for 4 hours of bowling the next day. That's what we did this past weekend. There is a sacrifice of time involved. And even more so if you volunteer to coach or to manage or to volunteer as an administrator of a league, whatever it may be, a league secretary. There's so many ways to get involved, but it is a sacrifice of time and of money and of energy. So it's all of those things. Now for me, just to give some context, is I'd say that I was, and I still am, but I was a good athlete. I was never a great athlete or an exceptional athlete, but I probably reached my athletic peak when I was 19 or 20 years old. My kids can't believe that I actually used to have a 6-pack as opposed to a 1-pack right now. I was 40 pounds lighter, I was fast, I had good stamina. But yeah, I enjoyed sports and I did a lot of sports. I never excelled in any of them from a standpoint of, well, that's my sport. But I prided myself on being able to play a lot of sports and play them decently, whether it was hockey or basketball or volleyball or football or baseball, not really golf, tennis, and so on. So I enjoyed doing all those things. I've also enjoyed coaching, especially Sean's, when he was growing up, his hockey team, his ball hockey team, his baseball team, and of course Jake's volleyball teams when they were winning back-to-back medals at St. Paul's. They almost won 3 gold medals, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, but they went gold, and then silver. But I do enjoy coaching, I do enjoy volunteering, I do enjoy working with young people. Obviously, I'm a youth minister. By a lot of my background is in youth ministry. So it's natural that I enjoy coaching as well, and the mentorship part of it, and seeing kids succeed. Also, I'm very competitive. I'm very, very competitive, and sometimes it comes out in bad ways, but I think I'm a lot better than I was maybe when I was at my peak of my athleticism way back in the day. But I still am a very competitive person, not only when it comes to sports, even recreational sports. You guys have seen how grumpy I get sometimes when I play volleyball, and I think I stress my teammates out sometimes when I play volleyball. But I am very competitive by nature when it comes to sports, when it comes to my work, when it comes to speaking, when it comes to music, not from a standpoint of I want to be the best and I want to be the most prolific at anything, but I do like to do things well. And I think that part of my competitive nature is because of my competitive nature, I want to do things well, but I have to check myself, especially when I'm not the one competing or if I'm not the one even participating in sports. And that's where I want to really launch now into this whole the joys and pains of sports parenting. And I want to talk about my 3 kids, and for those of you that know our 3 kids, a lot of what I say for the next minute or two will be review for you, or might not be anything new for you, but it kind of sets the stage of where I want to go. So Sean is a very well-rounded athlete. He's fast and he's strong and he's smart, and he was the one that we put in, maybe because he was our firstborn, we put him in like every sport in this first 6 or 7 years of existence. So he swam, he played ball hockey, he played baseball, he played soccer, he played basketball, and then as he went through high school, he was a good golfer, he played some tennis, and then really in high school he excelled in football, playing both on his high school football team and the club team that went second in the province, and he was a really good running back and linebacker for those football teams. So really good team sports guy, loved the whole all for one, one for all mentality, and really, really competitive as well. Jacob, he tried some of those team sports, but didn't maybe excel as well, maybe didn't develop as quickly and mature as quickly physically as Sean did. So he tried his hand at football, but we prayed every time that he got the ball that he wouldn't get crushed. But he ended up doing a lot of these decent at golf, but a lot of these individual sports, don't even call them sports, but these hand-eye dexterity, muscle memory type things, like brilliant Rubik's Cuber, an amazing speed stacker, a creative balloon artist, I don't know if that's a sport, and of course we know his passion now of bowling, which I'll get to in a second. And one other sport that Jake really excelled in is volleyball, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and then all 4 years of high school so far, so much so that he was the only grade 10 on his senior team in Hugh Boyd last year, and I expect him to be captain as he was in grade 11 and captain even next year as well. So he's a very good volleyball player as well. Then you have our lovely daughter Kayla, not as competitive as the other 2, at least I didn't think so. And then she was a little slower to develop. She wasn't really into the team sport. She wasn't that competitive growing up. So she did gymnastics, she did swimming. She was good at those. But then she started to take up bowling just a couple years ago, and she's excelled. She's doing very well, to the point where I would dare say that she may even have more natural talent when it comes to bowling than her 2 brothers. And she's probably further ahead. While Jacob and Sean Jacob was just starting to bowl at 12 years old, or he'd been bowling for a couple years, and then Sean hadn't even started when he was 12. So you could say that Kayla's even further ahead than, or at least we're equal on par where Jake was when Jake was 12. So that bodes well for Kayla. But my point is, all 3 kids, different skills, different competitive levels, and it's kind of fascinating. And I kind of compare Gail and me, where I'm the more athletic of the 2 of us, but Gail always says they can get my athletic ability as long as the kids get her looks, and I think that's a fair trade-off, and I would take that trade as well. But Gail is competitive from a standpoint of she likes to see the kids succeed, and that's why Gail and I make a good team. On this tournament over the weekend, I watched Jake mostly, and she watched Kayla, because our personalities kind of lent themselves to our kids, me to Jake and Gail to Kayla respectively. That's kind of what they needed at those moments in time, and that's really what I want to talk about for the last few minutes of this vlog, and really bring this home and talk about what I realized about myself. and really what kids want from us as parents watching their events and supporting them and cheering them on. So at this tournament, Jacob came in sixth, and he was in the senior boys division, kids aged from 16 all the way up to 21. The one who won, 21-year-old named Kyle, bowled brilliantly. Like I can't take anything away from him. Kyle bowled awesome. And even if Jake bowled awesome, I can't even say that Jake would have beat Kyle. Like Kyle was that good, and he's full value for his win. And for Jake, at first I was kind of disappointed because, at the risk of sound like I'm bragging, Jake had a very brag-worthy year last year. He won both provincial tournaments as a 15-year-old in his division. He won both national tournaments, and at one of those national tournaments, he actually broke a 15-year-old record for best performance ever by a 15-year-old boy. So last year in 2019, Jacob was the two-time national champion, the best bowler in the entire country for his age. So to see him I don't expect him to win every tournament, but he should walk into every tournament thinking he's got a good chance to win. But you could tell right from the start that it was going to be tough. It was going to be a grind. And sure enough, by game 3 or 4, you could say he was already out of contention. And it was really interesting for me watching him. The first 2 games, every good shot I'd be cheering, every poor shot or every miss, he'd turn around and I'd try and smile, but he knew that I was upset or I was distressed or I was disappointed. And then I kind of caught myself and said, this is stupid. A, I can't do any better. And B, Jacob doesn't need me to screw up my face every time he misses a shot. He needs me there to cheer him on, needs me there to root for him, to cheer, to clap, to yell, to thumbs up. When he makes a good shot, even when he misses a shot that I thought he could have made, but I probably couldn't hit myself, that's what he needed from me. And and I'm not even the one bowling. I'm not even the one with all the pressure on me, but I realized that if he's not gonna win, or even if he does win or lose, he doesn't need me to be all emotional and to stress him out even more. He needs me to be a dad and to love him unconditionally, support him unconditionally, and just cheer him on. I'm not gonna coach him. Despite all those other sports that I coach, I don't know how to coach someone in bowling. All I know how to do is cheer them on, and that's why there are coaches there that let the coaches coach and we can let the parents parent, and that's the best combination. And I was at peace with it, and Jake was at peace with it. He bowled his best, and that day, the best wasn't good enough to win, and we were fine with it. Now, Kayla, I think I stressed her out when I'm watching her because I would do the same thing before I caught myself. She would see the disappointment on my face, and that comes from my competitive nature, not because they're disappointing me or they're letting me down. That's not for me to say, but it's just because for Kayla, I thought the potential is there. She won the bronze medal, but she was only 11 pins out of first. So that means a strike or 2 spares, 12 pins total, and she would have won the gold medal, and she would have been going to Calgary in May to represent British Columbia. And even for Kayla to win the bronze medal was crazy because she was battling with another girl, and the other girl took the lead in the final game, and Kayla needed a strike to tie and to send it to a tiebreaker. And Kayla hit a strike, such a clutch shot with 100 people watching her, and it was the best feeling. We were cheering, we were screaming, I was so happy. But then another girl, not the girl that Kayla tied, actually ended up beating those 2 girls with an amazing last frame of the last game of a strike 9. So it ended up beating those 2 girls by 11 pins. So once Kayla realized that she wasn't gonna be rolling off for a gold medal, but a silver medal, she started to cry. And she buried herself into Gail's lap. And admittedly, I didn't know what to say. And Gail was really good. And I couldn't figure out, here's Kayla, who I didn't think really had a competitive bone in her body, and she was upset. She was bawling, and I tried to do the whole good parent thing. But I was not that I was embarrassed, but I didn't want other people to see her crying, and I realized that was not the priority. I should have just concentrated on being there for her, which I was. But Gail was better. It was probably better at that than I was. And we just found out that Kayla put a lot of pressure on herself, and I think she understood. I didn't give her enough credit. I didn't give her competitive nature enough credit. She understood that she was this close to winning the gold medal. Then she played her silver medal game. She ended up losing that one despite being up by 30 pins, but she I don't want to say she choked, but she had a rough last 4 frames. The other girl had a really good last final 4 frames, and Kayla ended up losing just by 9 pins. So she still won a bronze medal, and we are so proud of her. But I admit, when she was upset, I didn't have the right things to say. I wasn't expecting her to be upset, and it really caught me off guard. And I'm not making excuses. That was the honest to God reason. I'm so glad Gail was there. We compliment each other very well, and Gail was saying the right thing. She was comforting Kayla because, and it didn't upset me that Kayla went to Gail. That made sense. Just as I think Jake would come to me over, he'd go to Gail. It's just not their favorites. There's just a comfort level there. Maybe it's a guy, girl thing, whatever it is. But then to Kayla's credit, even though she lost her roll off, she was very happy, very congratulatory to the other girl who just beat her, and was all smiles as she accepted her bronze medal. So this is what I learned from this past weekend, and this is what I want to take into next weekend as well, when Kayla, Jacob, and Sean are all bowling. We'll be in Nanaimo next weekend for the second of these 2 provincial bowling tournaments. Not only should I let the coaches coach, which I'm pretty good at, but one thing I do got to be better at is not showing any disappointment. Actually, even more than that, I shouldn't be disappointed. I should be cheering them unconditionally, rooting for them, clapping for them. But one thing I'm really going to pay attention to is Sean, Jacob, and Kayla, 3 beautiful children, 3 wonderful athletes, 3 competitive individuals. You can't treat them all the same way. You can't use the same behavior for all 3 of them. You can't use the same strategies or techniques. Sean's very stubborn, just like his dad, and I think for him, the less I say to him, the better, because he's older and he'll probably figure things out. Jacob, just obviously a very strong bowler as well. Jake, I think he'll be the one who will come to me a bit more, and I got to remember that I'm not coaching him and I'm not disappointed. I'm just going to support him and love him, and I like I did last weekend, I'm going to keep calling him champ. Bowl like a champ. You're the champ. You are a champ, and I think that really works. And that's the kind of tact I'll take with Jacob. That tact probably wouldn't work with Sean. He'd probably think I'm being a bit corny or a bit goofy, and he'll probably say, "Hey, get away from me." With Kayla, it's all about love. It's all about encouraging her, but I think the tricky balance with Kayla is she knows that she can win. Jake knows he can win because he won last year. Sean knows that he can win as well if he bowls well. But Kayla knows she can win because she was that close just a couple of days ago. So with Kayla, I think it's going to be a very tricky balance of affirming her, loving her, rooting her on, but at the same time, challenging her to develop a bit of a killer instinct. To if she's winning, to really put her pedal to the metal, so to speak, and really try and close out games, which was the problem that she had on the weekend. So the fact that Gail's gonna be there is gonna be very helpful too, because then it's not the 3 kids just having to worry about me all the time. They can also bounce to her, and I'm very good at that. Gail and I are not jealous that way. We're not competitive that way with each other. We just want to do what's best for our kids. So what's the point of this now 18-minute video? It's gonna be 20 minutes by the time I'm done. Parents, when we have our kids involved in sports, there are so many joys, there's so many blessings, there's so many exciting moments, but there's also a lot of rough moments. There's gonna be moments where we think they can do better, and there's gonna be other moments where not only we think they can do better, but we know they can do better, and they might get frustrated, or they might get emotional, or they might buckle under pressure. They're gonna be looking to us as their mentors, as their role models, as their parents. They're gonna be looking to us for example. So it's in those tougher moments, when things aren't going well, that's really when we show our character, when we show how good of a parent we are. So many of you know this already, but I think you'd agree with me, it is much easier said than done. I implore you to not judge them, to love them, to hug them, to pat their back, to kiss them, to cheer them, to root for them, to clap for them, to whatever you need to do. Ultimately, let them do what they need to do. Let the coaches coach. We parents shall parent, and we parent by affirming them, loving them, and just cheering them on. And maybe you might know this already, but I need to say this, I need to express this, because this is gonna be a really good reminder for me next weekend, when it's gonna be competitive. I'm gonna want them to win, because I think they can win, but ultimately, whatever God's will is for them, however well they do, next weekend, I'm gonna have to be able to accept that, and I feel comfortable that I will be able to accept that. And that's the last thing I want to end on. Whether you're religious or not, I'm sitting here wearing my blessed t-shirt. I think what one last thing is what I want my kids to do, and I hope we're instilling in them, is that they have to have faith that God has given them the talent to do whatever it is they're doing. Right now it's bowling, all three of them, and that they should thank God for the talents that he's given them, and that they should continue to develop those talents and use those talents for good. And whether that means being good sportsmen or being supportive to other younger bowlers and role models to them, I think that's what God is calling them to do, not just to try and win medals, but more importantly, to develop their skills to the best of their ability and to share what they know with a younger generation. So there we go. Basically 21 minutes now. If you made it this far, God bless you. Thank you. I might not have said anything that you didn't already know, but I think it's important for us parents to support each other, to love one another, and to call each other out when we're not parenting well, and to affirm each other when we are indeed parenting well. So if you have kids involved in sports, God bless you. I pray that you continue to support them and love them, affirm them, and cheer them on without judging, without showing disappointment, without being resentful, and without reminding them of the sacrifices we make. We make those sacrifices because we love them and we want them to succeed, and we want them to grow in relationship with us, with their other teammates, with God, if you believe in God, which obviously I do. And yeah, sports is a beautiful thing, and we just got to remember to keep it a beautiful thing. And that's all I have to say tonight. So thanks for watching. Take care, and let's continue to love our kids, as good or as bad as they may be in their sporting activities. God bless you.